burning heating ducts and grains of toads and whatnot to come join us at tonight's event. Torture Justice, Why the Torture Memos Were Illegal. As you know, this is the kickoff for Ending Torture Month here at BOLT, a series of events organized by the newly established organization that I'm part of, BOLT Alliance to Abolish Torture. My name is Amaha Casa. I'm a 2L here at BOLT. And I just wanted to start by thanking everyone for coming out, whether you are a student or a faculty member or a member of the community to hear tonight's program. I think we're all here for the same reason, or same reasons, which is, we believe in the rule of law, we believe in human rights, and we believe in human dignity, and we care about BOLT. And all of us in our own separate ways are struggling through what it means, what the implications are, that BOLT is known for many things, but one of the things it's currently known for is having one of the authors of the torture memoranda here at the institution. And so there's a big diversity of opinion in this room. There's a big diversity of opinion even within the Alliance to Abolish Torture. But I think wherever we're coming from tonight, we can learn a lot from the stellar panel that we have lined up in the film that we're going to see. And we hope everyone will leave a little bit more informed and empowered and want to participate in this. As I mentioned, BAAT, BOLT Alliance to Abolish Torture, is a newly formed organization. We've organized a series of events for the coming month, Ending Torture Month. There's a detailed program in the handouts that you got as you came in, but some of the highlights are we're doing another panel on what happened at the OLC, the Office of Legal Counsel, later in the month. There's an event on the rule of law with two distinguished speakers also. Bruce Fine and Rocky Anderson. There's a field trip, an outing to see the Abu Ghraib exhibit at the Berkeley Art Museum. And that's everything. Oh, and of course, Solidarity Bar Review, which is a fundraiser for BOLT Alliance to Abolish Torture. So we hope that we'll see you over the course of the month and that you can join us for several of those events. I'm just going to give a quick overview of the event. We're going to start off by watching a film, which I think is it the West Coast premiere? Is it the world premiere? Okay, close. The West Coast premiere of Tortured Law, which is a film produced by Alliance for Justice, one of tonight's co-sponsors of this event. And then we're going to hear from our distinguished panel, which I'll let our panel's moderator introduce a little bit later. We're going to open it up for some Q&A, and then even knowing that we'll have a somewhat limited time for Q&A, we've also booked. We're going to move into a reception afterwards at 6 o'clock. Fortunately, Nathan, who was in charge of booking the space for the reception, not only booked Steinhardt Courtyard, but also booked the Goldberg Room right next door, so we can actually be indoors for the reception. We were going to book the beautiful new West Terrace facilities, but for some reason there's very stringent policies about events out there, and has something to do with protesters. And I think there's a strict orange jumpsuits only dress code for events out on West Terrace. So we're going to be up in the Goldberg Room after here. Before we move into the night's program, I want to thank some of the sponsors of this event: Women of Color Coalition, the BOLT Muslim Students Association, SALSA, the South Asian Law Students Association, Students for Environmental and Economic Justice, PALS, Filipino American Law Society, Law Students for Justice in Palestine, NALSA, Native American Law Students Association, La Raza Law Students Association, the Berkeley La Raza Law Journal, and the Berkeley Law Queer Caucus. I also want to especially recognize two of tonight's co-sponsors, the BOLT Hall Committee for Human Rights, which is not only co-sponsoring tonight's event, but actually co-sponsoring all the events as part of Ending Torture Month. In particular, I want to recognize the National Lawyers Guild, both NLG-SF and then our own chapter here at BOLT of NLG-BOLT. Really the BOLT Alliance to Abolish Torture would not have gotten off the ground without support and help from NLG, so we want to especially thank them, not least for arranging for continuing legal education, CLE credit for attorneys who attend tonight's program. We are happy to help arrange for CLE credit for attorneys who attend, not least because it's a fundraiser for us if you get CLE credit for coming. So please talk to Gretchen. Talk to Lorraine, who's raising her hand back there, if you would like to sign up for CLE credit. So with the preliminaries out of the way, I want to introduce our next guest. Melissa Meixel is Senior Counsel for the Alliance for Justice. Alliance for Justice, if you don't know, is an umbrella organization, a national umbrella organization of public interest law organizations ranging from civil rights groups to environmental groups to women's rights organizations nationally, and is a watchdog of the judiciary, of the judicial process, and of the legal system. So we're very pleased to have Melissa to introduce the film Tortured Law, and also to talk a little bit about their work for accountability for the authors of the torture memorandum. So please welcome Melissa Meixel.
It's a little intimidating talking behind this big, sort of scary-looking tortured law sign. So thank you so much for having us here. We're always excited to come to BOLT. We come here about once a year as part of our efforts to encourage law students to go into public interest law. And so every year we produce a very short documentary outlining something either that the Supreme Court is working on or some other issue that might help inspire some of you law students to go into pursuing careers in the public interest law. And this year, we were trying to think about issues that the Supreme Court might take up and trying to find an issue that would really resonate with students. And in thinking about it, part of why we think that lawyers should practice law in the public interest is because you're helping to represent the public as a whole and helping to stand for what's good for everybody. And it was a little hard to think about talking about something really inspiring like that when there was something else so negative and horrible going on within our profession about lawyers who are clearly not practicing law in the public interest. And so we decided, instead of highlighting this year something that the Supreme Court was going to be working on, to instead highlight an issue that we think is really important to the practice of law, about how lawyers who work for the government, whether they are really and truly representing the public interest. So you're going to see a very short documentary. It's about 8 minutes long. And it's fairly graphic, I have to warn you, but it will really set the tone, I think, for what the speakers are going to be talking about. So what the film does is explore and examine the actions of the Department of Justice lawyers and the Office of the Legal Counsel, what they wrote as part of their torture memos. And it outlines the U.S. Sort of basically sanctioning the use of torture as part of the policy of the Central Intelligence Agency. So I hope that you'll enjoy the film, although I'm not sure that enjoy is quite the right word, but that you'll think about it, about the film as you're watching it. You think about a couple of central questions, and these are questions that we're asking at law schools across the country. We have over 100 screenings of this film set up with your colleagues at different law schools across the country, and we're asking these questions all over the country. So think about these questions as you're watching it. Were the lawyers simply giving advice to President George W. Bush and Vice President Dick Cheney, and were they just giving their best legal advice? Or was their work something as part of a larger criminal conspiracy to distort the law and to authorize torture? And then if these lawyers did that, should they be held accountable, and if so, how would they be held accountable? So we hope that you'll think about those as you watch the movie, and thank you so much for your time and for coming.
We do not torture.